raped my friend.
Okay, before we get started, I know I'm going to really ruffle some feathers here. This is a touchy topic. And I also need to say in advance that no person, male or female, straight or gay, green or blue, square or round, deserves to be sexually assaulted in any way. I'm in no way condoning the act. But just as much as I hate a rapist, I also hate a chode that will scream rape in order to leech attention, and in this case views, which means money. Profiting off of a claim of sexual harassment or rape that is not true is just as detestable as rape itself. Maybe even more so, as it tends to take validity away from those who genuinely have a ground to stand on with such a claim. Every girl that makes a claim of rape that's not true is destroying the efforts of those who are actually trying to get help or support for their actual rapes. You are harming rape victims. You are trash. So let's just get into this and see why I've decided that this is a shit person and a shit move. First of all, during a time immersed in drama surrounding Jake Paul and Team 10 and all these other fuckers, you put up this video. Okay, in this video you make allegations, you don't ever drop any names, you leave it on us, the viewer, to draw our own conclusions. However, you did tag Jake Paul, Team 10, that other dude, so on and so forth. When Keemstar calls you out, you promptly removed the tags and added this to your comments. Your excuse for why the tags were there to begin with was laughable at best, but anyways, well, let's just deconstruct that comment for a moment. Yes, these were reported to the police. Well, good. Drop it there. Leave it the fuck alone. There's no need to pull this shady bullshit on YouTube, is there? I mean, unless you want drama views, right? No, it was not either of the Jake Paul brothers, Cameron Dallas, or Rice Gum. Well, then why tag them? Before anybody says auto tag, that's also been refuted. Auto tags show up at the top of the list, and these are literally the opposite, being at the end of the list. You insinuated them because you wanted people to draw that conclusion. You knew that there was legitimate hate, and plenty of rightful reason to hate on these YouTubers. So what's a little extra hate gonna do? It would be completely believable. And just for the record, Rice Gum is a pussy. Even a brain-damaged, anorexic teenage girl could easily beat his ass. Nobody assumed he raped you. The stories are real and happens to girls around the world. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think the stories are real at all. I think you're an attention whore. And yes, these kind of things do happen to women around the world, and men, and children, and it's horrible. But your flaky ass shade move to talk about this on YouTube is not doing them any kindness. So you made this video to spread awareness. I don't think so. I think we're pretty fucking aware. I don't think there is a single person on this globe who is unaware of rape. You're not spreading awareness about rape. Everybody knows. So if it's not rape that you're spreading awareness about, then what is it? The specific YouTubers that are out there raping all the women? No, I doubt it's to spread awareness about them either. Because you haven't the balls, or ovaries, whatever, to actually say their names. Therefore, you aren't spreading any actual awareness. Now, having seen your response to Keemstar's video, I was left thinking, dude, that shit seems kinda iffy. I'm kinda having trouble taking all this shit seriously. But I didn't think much about it, right? I mean, this is YouTube. And as much as I would like for people to treat the platform like something more than a high school homeroom, the reality is that kind of childish shit is what profits here. So I've kinda come to expect it. But the more I thought about it, the more angry I got, finally deciding to take a deeper look at stupid, as it were. So aside from the fact that you call out, well, no one, you make a rape allegation video with no perpetrator, where you and your, quote, friend can be the victim, you can get love, you can get attention, you can get affection, you can get views, you can get ad revenue, you can get pats on the backs and hugs, and no one gets hurt, right? Except every single legitimate rape victim ever. Well, anyways, first I want to take a quick look at your character. So you're what, 16, 17 in these stories? I mean, you literally just had your 18th birthday. And frankly, there's no way that all of this happened in the past month. So these events take place at parties, unsupervised parties, at the house of YouTube stars, who are old enough to have their own property or apartment. Really? So why are you not calling them pedophiles? Would that not add to the drama? I mean, come on. And while I'm in on that subject, what the fuck? You say you and your friend are at a party where she's forced into a room and raped, pants ripped off and plowed, right there, and you could hear it from outside the door. If you knew she was saying no, and that what was going on was wrong, why did you not move heaven and earth to breach that fucking door? Are you such a bad friend that you don't have her back while she's getting bent over a bed? Now, not every dude is in a frat of douchebags. I feel certain that there would have been at least one person there who would have had the balls to bust that door down and dome this YouTube star rapist mid-thrust. So yeah, that's kinda iffy as fuck right off the bat. Or you know, you could get on your fucking cell phone and that moment call the goddamn police. Did you do that? Nah. Let me guess, you didn't have your phone, right? Then there's this story about how you got roofied and can't recall, but you know you got raped and all that.
In a nutshell, what happened to me is I was roofied. I was at this influencer's house. He has many millions of followers. He's considered important by a lot of people just because he has followers, not because he's a good person, just because he has followers, you know. He's got followers, he's got fangirls, he must be a great person, right? So up until this point, this guy had been sexually harassing me. And at the time, I didn't realize that what he was doing was so wrong because I thought it was, you know, kind of normal because the only guys that I knew, because I just moved to LA, were like this guy. So I thought, oh, you know, he's just like everybody else. Everybody else out here is like this, you know, get used to it, Clarissa. But what he would do is not normal and it's not okay. He would literally rip my clothes off and drag me halfway up the stairs. And I thought it was okay because when I would tell my friends, they'd say, oh, you know, that's just him messing around. That's not just him messing around when I was telling him no over and over and over and over again. And he would still always be around. Always be grabbing me, always be threatening to unzip my clothes in front of everybody and embarrass me. He'd grab me under the counter. He'd force me into rooms and I'd have to literally push my way out of them.
So all of this shit you just described has taken place, and yet you still have the desire to keep going back, to keep hanging out and exposing yourself to this trauma. Now I can potentially see this kind of behavior in an abusive relationship where the female is too scared to speak out or do anything. But you never made any claims that you were dating this individual, you just kept accidentally turning up at these rape parties with the world's douchiest YouTubers. Bad luck, I guess?
And on this night, for some reason, I decided it was a great idea to, you know, take some water from him. Because I wasn't drinking. I never drank, and I wasn't drinking at this party, at this night, at this guy's house. And I remember looking around this guy's kitchen while I was just, you know, standing there and I was really thirsty. So I was looking around, I asked, you know, does anybody have any water? Where can I get some water?
Well, you're in a fucking kitchen, right? I mean, I can think of a place or two. And maybe if the kitchen is a bit overwhelming, try the bathroom. They have a never-ending supply of water as well. Hell, even the fucking garden hose outside has some water in it. Why the hell do you need to stand there in the kitchen and ask people like an idiot where to get some water? Open a fucking cabinet, get a fucking glass, fill that bitch up. You can even get some ice if you want. I mean, as you yourself stated, you are a regular visitor to this establishment. Surely you have a reasonable idea of where the fucking sink is, or at least a goddamn toilet. But instead, you decide to take a drink. As a, 17-year-old girl from a grown-ass man who you have already established as a sexual fucking abuser. See where I'm going with this?
And I remember him shoving a red cup in my face and saying, here's some water, drink it. And I remember taking that cup from him and just feeling like something was very, very wrong.
Really? 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 So you didn't drink it, right? You was just like, nah, this dude's a prick, I don't trust him, right?
But I didn't want to offend him because I was too scared of doing something that was wrong. So I took the drink from him.
Oh, no. Of course you drank it, idiot.
And it was water, but it didn't taste right.
Okay, so you sipped it and you was like, oh shit, this drink tastes funky as fuck. This dude who I don't trust, who sexually assaults me and others, who I just said makes me feel uncomfortable while handing me this glass, hands me this water, which I can identify does not taste right. So then you proceed to drink half the fucking cup. Right? What the fuck?
And I remember drinking half of that glass, and then around 30 minutes later, I started to feel like I was outside my body. I started to not be aware of where I was, of who I was, of what I was doing, and then I started to black out. And I woke up the next morning, and I had the taste of vomit in my mouth, and I still don't know what happened on that night, because I only remember part of it, but that happened to me. It wasn't even just that he did this to me or that he roofied me. It was my first time.
Okay, well, anyways, let's take a look at roofies and see what's up there. Okay, well, the older pills look like aspirin, but they're basically out of the system now. Modern day roofies have a blue dye in them in order to be identifiable. A roofie in a cup of water would change the color of the water bright blue, and then the effects or the peak effects, of the pill would take hold about 2 hours after ingestion, and can last up to 12 hours. Well, you admittedly only drank half. Assuming the pill had been thoroughly mixed, which is unlikely, you would have received about half of a dose at most, which means roughly half the effects. So, roughly 6 hours total of effects, still peaking about 2 hours after ingestion, and the peak only lasting a short time. The effects can also lead to seizures, coma, liver failure, and even death from respiratory depression, especially in someone who is already unhealthy, i.e. an anorexic. The pills give off a very bitter taste. Used in mixed drinks or maybe some kind of sharp-tasting beverages, I can see them potentially blending in enough to be masked. But a cup of water? No. You would immediately know there was more than just water in the cup. If you chose to drink further, then you're kinda dumb. And lastly, while the effects of the medicine escalate, leading to a point where you're at the peak effect, you will, over time, feel more and more out of place and drunk. For someone who just admitted that you've had no alcohol, to suddenly start feeling drunk, the next move would have been to immediately latch on to someone you trust, a female perhaps, and then tell them that you're not feeling right and that something is wrong. Now, all of this info I found in literally 3 minutes of Google searching. In just 3 fucking minutes, I informed myself enough on this pill that I would be able to make by far a more convincing story about some ethereal big YouTuber raping me. So not only have you decided to pull this basic bitch ratty move, you couldn't even be bothered to spend 3 fucking minutes on Google to educate yourself in the effects and appearance of the drug. Now I can spend all day picking apart this attention font of a video, but I don't really need to. I've brought up enough to make my point. I do, however, feel that I need to explore a little into the person behind the video. Maybe find out if this kind of weird-ass stretching of truth or lying is a common thing. Well, I took a cursory glance, and in fact, yes. Turns out being a flake comes quite natural. On her website/blog, there's a section called My Story, or whatever in the bio, where she talks about anorexia and her brain damage. Some key things. Quote, Clarissa spent the next few months visiting doctors and natural healers, and lying on the couch with her eyes closed listening to books on tape while her mom surfed the internet trying to figure out what was wrong with her daughter. Searched the internet? I mean, WebMD was your solution? Did you consider maybe a neurosurgeon? A specialist of some form? Or was it really not that big of a deal? Ultimately, Clarissa's mom was able to piece together that Clarissa had injured her hypothalamus. Really? Well, was that her professional opinion? She a doctor? Or is she just gifted with a knack for correctly diagnosing brain trauma? After several weeks, Clarissa's mom started her own rehabilitation program. Oh shit! So, not only can she correctly diagnose brain trauma, she can prescribe rehabilitative exercises. Well, that's a talented woman. She then goes on to explain that the trauma was the cause of her anorexia. Clarissa's mom learned later, after she noticed the symptoms of my brain injury. Look how that's written. Clarissa's mom learned later, after she noticed the symptoms of my brain injury were finally improving. So, you're writing this in first and third person. What the fuck? That a high-fat diet causes growth, specifically in the hypothalamus. Clarissa's mom had spent the past 9 months pouring coconut oil, olive oil, flaxseed oil, and grapeseed oil on Clarissa's food by the tablespoon. So ultimately, while the head injury led to the anorexia cured the head injury. We are still convinced this was a miracle. So, your essential oil diet cured not only your anorexia, but your brain damage as well? See, yeah, I gotta call bullshit again. Produce some medical record, some x-rays, some CAT scans, some reports from follow-ups. Because anybody with half of a rational brain knows that eating oils does not cure brain damage or anorexia, which frankly I'm not so sure either of which have been actually cured. Anyhow, my point here was to establish character. And I feel like I've done that. I've established that she is prone to talking out of her ass, she is not afraid to say some stupid ass shit to get a pat on the back, and she is capable of at least a mild lie for profit. Which brings anything she says from that point forward at least a little bit into question. Now, I don't believe a word of her video. I think she is engaged in the worst form of view hunting ever, and it's disgusting. If you really want to bring awareness to this issue, why not tell your viewers that roofies turn water bright blue and make it taste nasty as fuck? Why don't you tell them that if they're 16, don't be going to adult men's houses and parties? Tell them when they do go out to take a friend who they trust so they can watch her back and she can watch theirs. Now, rape is a horrible thing. Murder, theft, abuse, these are terrible fucking things. And they happen every single day to humans on this planet. It is a terrible fact of life. But saying, oh my god, I totally got raped, does not bring awareness. Maybe if you said, YouTuber X raped me Friday, June 1st, that could potentially bring awareness with regards to that individual. But what you did does nothing except get views. Look, at the end of the day, I'm human. I can make mistakes, just like everyone else. And what I've done here is not based on anything that I can 100% prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. I've drawn conclusions based on available information. I feel like these conclusions are rock solid, or I would not have made this video. But in the event that I'm wrong, and she is able to provide some form of proof reflecting that, I will take this video down and publicly apologize. At this point, I don't see that being very likely. Nevertheless, if I am wrong, I'm not too proud to admit it. And before anyone comments about what kind of terrible person I am for attacking a rape victim, I do not in the least bit believe she's a rape victim. And what she's doing is causing real harm to actual rape victims. Every single unbelievable and untrue rape story takes credibility away from every single real one. Keep your rape stories in the form of police reports and off social media, where you are effectively turning a profit off wild claims that bring no actual progress to awareness. Stop being a flake, stop telling stories, and grow up a little bit.
Alright, bye!